He wasn't barking at traffic. He was waiting for something. And when a red car passed, the past howled through him. Finn, a black and white border collie with a streak of silver in his fur, sat by the gate of the Elmwood Animal Haven. Ears up, tail still, silent as vans and sedans drifted along the road beyond the chain-link fence. But a red car, any red car, sparked him alive. His bark shattering the quiet, claws rattling against the gate like he was trying to break time itself. The staff shrugged it off. "Quirky mutt," they'd say, chuckling over coffee in the break room. Visitors noticed too, kids giggling. Look, he hates red. But on April 2nd, 2025, Nora Tate, 38 and fraying, watched him from the kennel porch, her broom idle in her hands. She arrived in Elmwood with nothing but a duffel and a grief she wore like a second skin, fleeing a life shattered by her son's death, a loss that gnawed at her every quiet moment. Something about Finn's barks pulled her in, a thread tied to a wound she couldn't name. 5 years ago, Nora's world broke when Liam died at 12. A hit and run on a rainy night. He'd been biking home from a friend's, his laughter still warm in her mind. She'd been at the stove stirring soup when the sheriff's call came, voice flat. "Ma'am, there's been an accident." The driver never stopped. A blur of headlights and sketches. No color, no plate. Just gone. Liam's bike, twisted red metal, sat in her garage still. A ghost she couldn't face. Her husband left a year later, unable to bear the silence where Liam's voice once filled the house. And Nora sold it all, drifting to Elmwood, a town she didn't know, to scrub cages and dodge memories. Finn had been here when she arrived, dropped off by a trucker who muttered, "Found him on Route 12, no collar," then peeled away. She'd hesitated. Could she handle a dog so wired with her own edges unraveling? But Finn's keen eyes met hers, steady when hers trembled, and she stayed. Finn became her shadow. Mornings, he'd trot beside her, nudging her mop bucket, tail wagging slow. Evenings, he'd curl by her desk, ears twitching as she logged adoptions, her voice soft. "Good day, huh?" That spring afternoon, the air buzzed with pollen, the sky a flat grey over the asphalt. Nora swept the porch, Finn at his post by the gate, silent as a white SUV cruised past. Then a black pickup, a red hatchback rolled by, and he erupted, barking fierce and raw, paws clawing the fence. Nora paused, broom stilled, watching him lunge, his focus tight as a blade. Her chest seized like a wire snapped inside, the sound echoing something too familiar, an evening when Liam was still alive, his bike bell ringing through the dusk. "What's with you and Red, bud?" she murmured. But Finn's eyes stayed glued to the taillights, fading down the road. She shook it off, kept sweeping. That night, Finn didn't settle, pacing his kennel, circling back to wine at the bars. A tick from his early days when thunder rattled the roof. Nora frowned, locking up, her keys jangling. "You okay, Finn?" He barked once, low, staring past her into the dark. She lingered, watching him, her breath fogging in the chill. The shelter hummed with routine, dogs yapping, adopters cooing. But Finn's quirk grew louder. Red sedans, red trucks, red minivans, he'd bark every time. Staff joked, "Finn's got a vendetta." Nora logged it, her pen tapping the desk, curiosity gnawing. She'd lost Liam to a car. Finn lost something too. She felt it in his tense frame. One muggy evening, a red coupe slowed by the gate, and Finn went wild, barking till his voice cracked, leaping higher than ever. Nora stepped out, squinting, the driver a blur behind tinted glass, then gone. Finn slumped, whining, nosing the fence. Her gut twisted. Liam's red bike flashed again, a memory she'd buried deep. She'd carried that night for years, locked it away, but Finn's barks pried it open. By dawn, she grabbed his leash, resolve hardening. "Show me, boy." She walked him along Route 12. The road he'd been found on, asphalt shimmering in the heat. Finn pulled her past ditches, sniffing hard, then froze by a faded mile marker, pawing the gravel. Nora knelt, her fingers brushing something, a rusted keychain, a tiny car charm, red paint chipped. Her breath caught. Liam had one like it, a gift from her for his 10th birthday, clipped to his backpack. She'd laughed when he'd begged for it at the gas station. "Matches my bike, Mom." She'd caved, handed over the $1, watched him beam as he hooked it on. "No way," she whispered, hands trembling. Finn whined, tugging her toward a culvert, barking at the overgrowth. She pulled her phone, flashlight shaky, revealing more. A shred of red fabric, a shoelace with a worn plastic tip, partially buried beneath years of leaves and silence, as if the road itself had tried to keep them safe, just like the ones on his favorite sneakers, the pair he'd worn that last day. Her chest tightened. Liam in his red raincoat, biking home, his voice calling, "Race you." She'd run from that night, locked it in grief's box. "Not now." "Okay, Finn," she said, voice firm. "Let's figure this out." She called Deputy Ruiz, her voice tight. "Found stuff on Route 12. Finn led me. Looks old, maybe tied to something." She held the phone with both hands, her fingers shaking so hard she could barely grip it, as if they carried the weight of someone finally listening. Ruiz, wiry and skeptical, grunted. "Nora, you're digging through roadkill and dreams." "There's nothing here." Her jaw clenched. "It's not nothing. It's him. Just check it." He sighed. "Fine, we'll swing by." She hung up, her thumb smudging the screen, her pulse loud in her ears. Finn wouldn't settle that night, pacing the kennel, circling back to wine, his eyes darting. Nora couldn't sleep either. The keychain sat like a frozen scream on the counter, small and accusing. She'd tried forgetting Liam, drowned him in work and wine, but he lingered, a shadow in every quiet corner. He'd been her light, her fault he'd pedaled into the dark. Finn's wine sliced through. By morning, she leashed him again. "Back at it, huh?" Ruiz arrived at the culvert, boots crunching, a rookie trailing, smirking. Finn led them, pawing deeper, unearthing a rusted bike bell. Liam's. She'd screwed it on herself, his grin wide as he rang it. Ruiz frowned, kicking at the dirt. "Could be anyone's junk, Nora. We're not digging up every ditch." Her voice sharpened. "Not to him. Finn knows. You're not even trying." Shh. Finn growled at Ruiz, low and steady, teeth bared till the deputy stepped back, muttering, "All right, fine." The rookie snorted. "What? Your dog smarter than us?" Finn circled a storm drain, barking at a hollow beneath, claw marks faint in the concrete. Nora knelt, flashlight piercing, a child's sneaker, red, laces frayed. Her chest seized, Liam's size, his scuffed kicks from that last summer. "That's his," she said, voice breaking. Ruiz's doubt flickered. He radioed forensics, tone clipped. "Get out here now." Finn sat guard, eyes on the road, a red sedan passing, his bark low, almost tired. Back at the shelter, Nora brewed tea, hands shaky, replaying that rainy night. She'd kissed Liam's head. Be safe. Lost him to a blur of speed. Finn paced, nudging her toward the gate. She'd come to Elmwood to hide, not heal. By noon, Ruiz called, "Sneakers old, DNA's iffy. But we found wreckage nearby. Red car, buried in brush. Could be..." He paused. Nora's knees buckled. Finn pressed against her, steady. She'd lost her son, her marriage, herself. Finn had pulled her back once. Nights when she'd stared at blades, his nose on her hand till dawn. Now he'd led her here. Forensics swarmed Route 12. tape fluttering, the town buzzing. Nora sat with Finn as Ruiz briefed her. Wrecks a match, red sedan, hit and run, plates traced to a guy. Dead now, drunk that night. Her throat closed. Liam's killer. Was that really him? Ruiz softened. DNA's on the sneaker. Might be him. A week later, it confirmed Liam Tate, dead at 12, hit by a red car that fled. Nora broke, sobbing into Finn's fur, his warmth her anchor. That evening, a red truck slowed by the gate. Finn watched, silent. No bark, just stillness. Nora frowned, stepping out. She'd braced for a family. A child. Maybe someone young. Not this hunched figure with shaking hands and a look in his eyes that cracked something wide open. An old man climbed down, frail, leaning on a cane. "Just looking at dogs," he said, voice rough. Finn bolted, leaping, licking his hand, tail wagging wild. The man froze, then knelt, trembling. "Buddy, is that you?" Nora approached, heart pounding. "You know him?" He nodded, eyes wet. "Had a collie, lost him years back, crashed my truck, red one, couldn't find him after." Amnesia had stolen chunks of his past, but Finn's quiet snapped something loose. Maybe he remembered running along the roadside in the rain, losing the boy's scent, chasing red flashes again and again. He waited, Nora whispered, tears falling. She stood there, watching Finn nuzzle him, and realized it. He didn't bark anymore, not out of exhaustion, but peace. He didn't need to search because he'd found it all. Because someone finally stopped. Months later, Nora sat on her porch. Finn's leash hung inside, a relic of their days. She'd spoken his name aloud that week to a volunteer wiping down kennels. "Liam loved bikes, you know," she'd said, her voice steady. The words a release after years of silence. The volunteer nodded, quiet, and Nora felt the weight lift, just a little. A memory crept in, soft and clear. Liam, 10, pedaling beside her on a sunny day. Finn bounding at his heels, barking at the red bike's wheels. "He's silly, Mom." Liam had laughed, ringing that bell, the sound bright as his grin. Now, Finn lived with the man, Tom, a grey blur in Elmwood's parks. He'd sit with a shy girl, now chatting, or romp with Tom's grandkids. Nora volunteered still, teaching kids bike safety. Liam's bell on her desk, a quiet chime when she brushed it. The Gazette ran it. "Collie's bark solve 5-year mystery." Flowers piled by the gate. A plaque rose. For Liam, found by Finn. Beside his name, someone had scratched a red bicycle into the wood. No one owned up to it. One dusk, Nora sat there, Finn beside her, a red car passing, silent. His eyes caught the sunset, glinting fierce and true, a keeper of lost bonds. "You knew, didn't you?" "All along, you knew," she murmured, her voice a whisper in the stillness. "And all this time, I was afraid to open that door you'd already nudged ajar with your paw." So, viewers, sometimes they're not barking at nothing. Sometimes they're calling you home.